Be sane. This is not your average financial podcast, helping you think different about your money, your economy, and your future.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Not Your Average Financial Podcast Live, where today we're going to be diving headfirst into some financial squeezes that's got all of the country talking. We're talking about record low savings rates, retirement nest eggs thinner than a hotel pillow, emergency funds that are getting absolutely demolished, and why families feel like they're just one little tiny little surprise away from absolutely being dissolved in today's wild economy. Now, we know that you have a lot of choices with your time, especially on YouTube. There's only 24 hours of YouTube time in a day, I'm told. So thank you for taking the time to be with us. And you're here with us. If you're watching live, make sure to say hello. We'd love to bring you into the conversation. By the way, also go ahead and hit that like button now while you're thinking about it and while you're feeling uber generous. And be sure to share this podcast video with a friend. That's usually the best way to get the word out there. And subscribe to our shows and channels. If you're watching this on our channel, thank you. If you're watching it on one of the Neely's Awesome channels or Evan's channels, please make sure to subscribe so you never miss the next episodes that we'll be doing as well. So we're going to be getting into some of the, not only the big news stories of the day, but also some of how human beings, the Reddit users, I think they're human beings over there on Reddit, how they're handling all this, the horror stories that I saw in the chat of Reddit this week. And we're going to be reading some of those live to just get real live actual people describing the economy that they find themselves in. So, but with that out of the way, I want to introduce our awesome guests. So helping me unpack all of this today are three totally awesome, totally sharp Bank on Yourself professionals and longtime contributors to this live, as well as some new friendly faces as well. So first up, I'm going to bring on the man who brings more energy to a policy illustration than most people bring to Friday night happy hour. Mr. Brandon Neely, welcome, sir. Welcome to the live.
Thanks for having me. I didn't know I bring that much energy to an illustration.
You know, if you don't, you should, man. If you don't, you should. But you absolutely do. And with you is the wonderful Evan Greathouse. I want to make sure that Evan knows, of course, that he's the strategist. Cash flow systems sound like a cheat code, like a Nintendo Game Genie. Welcome, Evan, to the show. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
And finally, the power closer, the one who proves that compassion and financial firepower are a killer combination. Amanda Neely, always insightful. Amanda Neely, welcome, Amanda. So glad to have you.
Good to be here. It's only because I love coffee so much. I heard coffee's for closers.
Oh, is that right? Yes. So I have a kind of an off-the-wall kind of icebreaker question. I want to jump into our conversation today. Before we get into all the heavy downer bad news stuff of our world economy and how everything is fine, says the dumpster fire, I just want to ask you guys this question. Hit me with your initial thoughts. If your Bank on Yourself policy could talk, okay, so if it could talk, what do you think it would complain about most regarding how its owner treats it? That's a weird question, but I'm asking the question. And if you're watching this live and you do own a Bank on Yourself policy, feel free to answer the same. But what do you think it would complain about most regarding how its owner treats it? All right. And what's one ridiculous habit that it would beg you to stop doing with your money?
Who's going?
That's hard. Where did you get these things?
It's the while you're mowing the lawn kind of thoughts. It's the while you're shoveling the snow in the middle of June kind of thoughts.
So I think, Mark, you got to give us a good example. You thought of this question. I'm gonna push back on you. You answer it first.
I can even go too.
Yeah, I have an answer, but Evan, if you've got one, go for it, man.
Let me just throw this out and see if this is like in the realm of what you were going with. But like a habit with your Bank on Yourself policy that it just would really like you to stop doing is just borrowing from it without ever repaying anything out and to the max. Just keep maxing out what you can borrow from it every single time and never pay anything back. That hurts. It's like holding some weight past the point where you want to give up. And it's important to make sure that you're not stealing from yourself, or putting the policy in jeopardy of lapsing potentially. So that'd be the number one thing that I've heard, and hope my clients never really get into that. So
Great feedback, man. Yeah. Anybody else?
Mine
The
might have
thing you would complain about the most.
said, "Why didn't you make me bigger?"
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one.
Snap.
And,
Yeah.
and
Woo!
it's more of like understanding, like when we started, we were limited, small mindsets, I guess, or it was what we could do, which is still good. You want to make sure you can achieve it, but with especially my combo rater, I wish it was able to fund bigger and grow, or not. It still grows, but just more a bigger policy.
That's a really good one. I hadn't thought of that one.
Oh, I'm going to go with why haven't you started me yet? Like, the policy exists in your future. It's begging to be started. Why haven't you started yet? Even, starting small, growing into it, doing something. Cash is always moving. Why not put it through the policy?
You guys had great answers. Mine was going to be totally not that cool. Mine was like, you're packing so many PUAs in my little tiny bucket here. It's starting to, give me like, bruises and I'm in pain because I've got so many PUAs I'm carrying around behind me. All right.
That's a quality problem, I think.
That's right. Yeah, these PUAs aren't free, man. They weigh a ton. So
yeah.
Well, so we've got a couple of like big things that are happening in our world today, as always. So I'm going to try to share where we're going with some of this. What do you guys see? There we go. All right. So we're going to be talking about some of what's happening in the world, and then talking also about what's behind the average headlines. And there we go. Can I go this way? All right. So here's the first one. And I'll see if I can grab the article at some point too. But the National Institute on Retirement Securities, Retirement in America 2026, this just came out like this week, finds that the median working American has saved $955 for retirement.
Oh my
across
goodness.
all workers. The median. Okay. That's not the average. That's the median, meaning
That's
half
not
of
in
all
thousands.
Americans have less than that.
Jeez. Wow.
Even those closest to the finish line, those 55 to 64, have a median of only $30,000 set aside for retirement. What in the world are we doing here, guys? Somebody wake me up from this terrible nightmare.
Yikes.
Are we really going to enter into that world? Because what did we talk about last week regarding Social Security? That in 6 years, we're going to see a 24% pay cut. I heard this week that the first Congress people to be elected recently are the first ones now that will still be in office without another election waiting for them, where they will have to deal with the cliff of Social Security. Because, some of these elected officials stick around for 6 years. We're now in that window. It's like the blood moon is rising, and I don't think anybody knows the werewolves are coming. Feelings, thoughts, Evan, on this one?
I was just kind of looking at that article, and it's not just like young people either. I mean, the data goes all the way up to people who are 64 years old. And so,
Wow.
that's just, it's a sad thing. It's one of the reasons that I really get very passionate about Bank on Yourself is because I want to see people succeed as they are approaching that season of life. I want to see them not having to come out of retirement unless they just really like to go out and be a Walmart greeter. I mean, some people may be really passionate about that. I'm willing to bet most people are not really like dreaming about that and every night though. So that's my initial reaction is just let's figure out how to get the word out. Let's right this ship. And that was, again, one of the main reasons why I wanted to get into this whole industry was educating people on the right way to do things, or how to at least build a strong foundation. So
great stuff. Who else? Is this something, I mean, were you as shocked as I was, Amanda, that this was happening? I didn't realize it was this low. I thought it was much higher.
Yeah, I guess the 955 number it sounds like it's just for defined contribution plans.
Mhm.
If you scroll down a little bit, you can see like it's sharing defined contribution, retirement, wealth, all workers, 955. One more chart. I think it's the next chart. And then the average savings below that. And that's for age 21 to 64. Not everyone even has access to a defined contribution plan, right? Like I think it's half of Americans don't have a 401k offered through their workplace. That would be an example of a defined contribution plan. And they might be saving zero, right? So there's probably like a lot of zeros in there.
Yes. The median.
I mean,
right.
yeah. Some states are, requiring it. That, you can think positive or negative about that. I wonder if they included other types of saving for the future, how those numbers would change.
What do we have to say about this as Bank on Yourself professionals? Do we have anything to offer?
Absolutely. So, I mean, defined contribution, all that's defined is how much you're putting in, not how much will be there when you need it, or, those kind of things. Where I love when you're working with other types of products that have a contractually obligated requirement for what will be there depending on what you contribute, whereas defined contribution plans do not. And, a lot of people, I think we're going to get into this later, have a bunch of fear about the future right now. They believe there could be a big crash coming. All these numbers could be cut in half, right? What we do as Bank on Yourself professionals, make sure we protect our clients from that.
So tell me again, what's the difference between a defined DC plan? Are we talking Washington, DC? Like what does that mean? Somebody explain DC. And what did you just say about contractually obligated for what's going to be there in retirement? What's the difference, Amanda, between a DC and we would call it a DB? What's the difference there?
Yeah, so DC is defined contribution. DB would be defined benefit. Those are things like your pensions. DC defined contribution is more like 401k, IRA, 457, 403b, all those typical things. There's been a big move from defined benefit plans to defined contribution plans over the last 40 years here in America with all kinds of employees. I actually talked to a firefighter recently. He had no idea that, like, he didn't think he had a defined benefit plan even more. A firefighter, like somebody, maybe he does, he just doesn't, like, it's not even talked about. But he knew exactly this 457, how much is going in, right? Like, and then what was great with a defined benefit plan historically is there was a defined benefit of here's how much you will get at this age if you retire at that point. Here's how it grows over time, based on how many years you worked, all those kind of things. You can know here's what I'm going to get, maybe with a cost of living adjustment or something like that going forward. Defined contribution just says how much is going in. You have and it depends on how you're going to invest it, all those kind of things for how much will be coming out later with no guarantees whatsoever.
Which could be a good thing if the market always does really well, or it could be a really bad thing if the market just decides to, take a massive turn in the wrong direction right when you're ready to retire. It's my 2 cents on that is that it is a gamble, and I don't like that. I like sleeping really well at night, and I sleep like a kitten every single night because I'm not concerned constantly about a huge market crash or anything like that. My retirement savings is not dependent on it, and it's really a foundational thing that everybody needs to really think about. How does your foundation look? If you have a really beautiful home and a really, really weak foundation, at any moment, that beautiful home could come crashing down. And so just consider options that are not in the stock market, as well as, as a part of your overall wealth building strategy.
I think the companies are also lowering what they're matching more and more. We're seeing that happening often when someone's like, "Oh yeah, my company was doing 6%, and now they only do 3." I was doing the same thing, but they're giving me less incentives. So if you're going to have less incentives to do those things, they're trying to make sure they're able to do whatever the heck they want, right? And so I
Yeah.
seen
Wasn't there some like studies about how the employers would normally, like, if they did have a matching program, they would just reduce the amount that they paid as a salary by the amount that they were matching and call it the matching program. And now they're trying to reduce the match. Isn't that kind of like a sneaky reduction of their total salary?
Yes.
I don't know. That's uncomfortable to me to think about. So
Yeah, especially when you think of defined contribution plans are under a other bucket of a defined compensation, or no, a deferred compensation, right? Like that it's compensation that's just deferred or like put aside for the future. So it,
Mhm.
like what is put into the 401k as a match is actually considered compensation. And so if they're lowering that, that is a lowering of compensation by definition.
Say that again, Amanda, and maybe unpack that just a second more.
Yeah. So you might like 401ks, those kind of things are often called profit sharing plans. But another way to talk about them is that they're actually part of compensation. Actually, if you like look at your W-2 that you get at the end of the year, it'll have on there like your wages. It'll also have contributions to retirement plans, all those kind of things. It's actually considered part of your compensation. It's just you're not taxed on it right now. It's deferred into the future, right? And so if you were like asking employers how much you paying your employees, they're gonna take your like salary, but they're going to add your match, they're going to add what they're paying for healthcare, all these things for what your actual compensation is on their bottom line, right? Or like in their, it's actually if you talk to a good accountant, they're going to say the next hire you have, make sure you're not just counting their salary, you're adding this and this and this and this, all these things, right? That's actually your compensation for them.
Totally.
And so when you hear like average compensation has gone up X, Y, or Z, it's counting all of these things, not just the paycheck that somebody gets in their deposit in their account every other week.
There you go. So, I think we want to ask ourselves, one, what do we as Bank on Yourself professionals really have to offer a world like this, where we have so many zeros, right, Amanda? Like you said, there's probably a lot of workers that have nothing saved for retirement. If the average is 93K and the median is $900, basically $930, that means a lot of people have nothing. I would say don't drop your 401k. Don't drop at least put in up to the company match would be usually a good idea for most people. But we would probably all say it's not enough, even if you have a healthy 401k balance, even if you're way above the median. Then definitely go for growth and investing, sure, but only with money you can afford to lose. First and foremost, build that foundation using a Bank on Yourself type whole life policy and some of your own defined benefit strategies for yourself if you want, through annuities and more. That would give you the best chance at not living this nightmarish reality. So I'm going to move on to the next piece here, guys. But man, what a great topic. The next one similarly kind of gets my hackles up a little bit here. The personal savings rate fell to 2.6%, the lowest since 2008. What was going on in 2008? Anybody? Does anybody know? Are we
housing something, right? Something to do with housing.
Yeah. So was there any detail here that might be important for us to check out? Savings was only 2.6% of disposable income in April 2026, according to the Bureau of Economic Analysis, the lowest reading since April of 2008. Well, okay, so that's an important month because the crisis of 2008 didn't happen in April, right? It happened in the summer and into the fall. So what are we saying? usually Americans, it seems, save less when they think times are good, because a bubble is full of air right before it pops, right? So it was, we were flying at our very highest in April of 2008. And it wasn't until later in the summer and then the fall when Bear Stearns and all that fell apart. So my feeling here is that we are at the precipice of something. I don't know if it's going to be another month or another 6 months or another year. It's continued longer than I think any rational person would have ever expected, this bull market. But when we see savings rates go down, it's usually because, one, inflation is up, prices are up, and beyond maybe what's rational. So look out below is the only thing I would probably say here. Brandon, are we about to hit the skids, or can you tell us the exact day and time so I can sell everything, all my stocks, and bump up my personal savings rate to 2.7%?
I wish I knew that. If I did, then I would be a really, really rich person, I guess. But I think we see things coming. A lot of people feel it, and even if the market is going up, it's not affecting most people's lives, right? It's not we're not having a corollary, I guess. But what I am seeing is a lot of people are using credit cards as their emergency, and banks are going to win either which way, right? They have built where we don't have an incentive to save, maybe in CDs or something for a little bit. I think there's another way, but they're not. There's no incentive for them. So the banks are saying, well, all right, you don't need to save. You can get points on a credit card, and all these crazy things that I see tons and tons of commercials about. So then people are using the credit cards thinking they're going to game the system, and then they have a bad month, and then they go into 22%, and they wonder where all my money went. So I'm like, well, went to that. You're working for a bank for free. And most people are not getting a company match as they're working for that bank, and almost everybody's working for the bank.
Yeah, and there could be any number of reasons for this to be happening, for savings rates to drop, and I'd say some of the biggest culprits are going to be just the consumer mentality of a large portion of the United States, where we've just become a consumer nation, where we're buying more than we need, and we're going into debt to do so, and not able to save anything, and so I think there have been some really up and down roads lately that have left some people deeper in debt than they were able to handle, and now they're trying to dig their way out of it. They don't have anything. There's no margin to save. They're digging their way out of debt. There's also, I feel like, there's become, like, I don't know if you can feel it. This is pure speculation here, but I get a feeling sometimes of just like a overall complacency. There's a lot of people who are they have arrival syndrome, maybe. They just feel like it's where they feel that they haven't really needed to do anything for some time, because they're really comfortable, and they're not thinking about the winter. It's nice and summery. There's fleecy clouds out right now, and they're not really thinking ahead. And so,
Evan, when is the Thanksgiving turkey the happiest?
Not in November.
I guess the fourth Wednesday of November. That's when he's the happiest. Just the fourth Wednesday in November. The night before. It all goes down, right? Sorry to interrupt you. Keep going, man.
No, that's exactly right, though. I think there's a need for education. There's a need for people to take more of an active approach. There's a lot of people who simply just don't want to deal with it, and so they bury their heads in the sand and sweep it under the rug, whatever you want to say, and they'll ignore it. And I'm not speaking about everybody on that. I've personally done that myself. That's how I know I can say, because I've been there, and we all have, I think. I've also realized that I was there and needed to get out, and took those steps to get out of that too. So that's where I'll leave it to Amanda.
Oh, I agree, Evan. And I think the thing that keeps people in complacency is that they feel like it's all their fault.
Mm.
And they get hopeless. They don't know what to do. We don't have any control over how much the grocery store is going to charge us for a gallon of milk, those kind of things. Mark, if you would share that website again where we're getting this info,
The BEA.
I want to show you the part that scares me the most. It's the changes in monthly consumer spending chart that's on
Here
there.
it comes.
Now, I haven't studied this super. Next chart, sorry.
No problem. Let me get back to it. There. How's that?
There it is. Okay, yeah. So you see the cost that went up the highest, gasoline and other energy goods. That is not a personal failure, honey, right? You got to get to work. You got to keep your house warm or cool, like, your kids, not, dying
Right.
because of, overheating or whatever. Housing and utilities, right? Same kind of thing. The rent is going up, home prices, right? Those kind of things. Now, here's the part. You look at the bottom. What did we stop spending so much on? Financial services and insurance.
Oh, no.
Now yeah, that's a great observation, Amanda.
Wow, right? Like, what is the thing that's going to help us figure out how to deal with the gas and energy goods going up, the housing and utilities going up? It's actually getting help from a financial professional who can help you strategize what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Right? And how to allocate your funds so that they're not all, unaccessible until you're 59 and a half, things like that. And that just really surprised me when I saw this. So one, it's not your fault. You have no control over how much the gas company is going to charge you. Sure, you can try to walk or ride a bike more often, but if you got to get back and forth to work, don't, there's no shame, right? But also get the help that you need. Spend the money for what's important to you, right? Protecting your family, getting advice from financial planners, right? Like that's worth it. And it can actually help with all the other things.
I would be really interested.
I would say the right financial planners, not just somebody who has no offense to you guys, CFPs, but ones that actually understand cash flow is really important, understands, liquidity and investing.
First professionals, maybe. Yeah.
Something, those lines. I just, not everybody, and maybe that's the reason that they aren't, is because we've seen, and I was just reminded of Evan's, the arrival syndrome, and I was looking at Become Your Own Banker. And not so much on the policies, but the rules that he put, right?
Put that book up, if you don't mind. Put that book up again, Brandon.
This, Become Your Own Banker.
Who's it by?
By R. Nelson Nash.
All right. And
so in there, he talks about the golden rule. Those who have the rules or make the rules have the gold, kind of a thing, right? Banks. Willie Sutton law. And he says he steals from the banks because they have the money, right? And then Parkinson's law. The problem is oftentimes, or rival, we don't embrace those laws. That's what's pretty amazing with what Nelson Nash said. Now, Nelson was from the Greatest Generation, savers, not investors, that kind of thing. It was a very different way of thinking. And I think we've lost these parts because we're like, oh, well, it's okay. Just be an investor, put it into Wall Street, and it'll be fine, right? But we don't think about the other parts, and a lot of it's human behavior. And so, how do we embrace the human behavior, the things that are both for and against us, to move in the better direction? Also, I was thinking about the financial services of a client of mine that passed away, and he was a business owner making decent money. However, something happened. And I'm really glad he did that negative. He was against the grain, because now his kids aren't going to be in poverty because they lost their asset creation person, the person that was making the money, right? And I think that that's huge, and we kind of discredit that and say, well, it's okay, it's an expense, but we need to be thinking long range. Not that we haven't arrived yet. And when we start thinking we've arrived, we've made it, that's when things happen. Bad things happen.
Mm-hmm.
Man, so what can we say as Bank on Yourself professionals? Can Bank on Yourself help participate in solving the problem of having zero in savings, even in a world where we're just not saving? Anybody want to jump on that one?
I can keep going for a second. I was like talking to an older guy just now, and he's saving. He saves for his vacations, and he saves in there. I'm like, is there a better way? And then he has CDs and things like that. They would do a little bit for, but then they have credit cards. I'm like, isn't there a way that you could save for vacations and have a lower interest on because you're working for a bank for 25 cents on the dollar? Seems a bit broken, right? And so is there a way? I'm like, well, you could probably have a policy and then use that as your vacation fund or your emergency fund or whatever.
Yeah, assigning a policy to every one of your major purchases. I'm pretty sure you just did an episode on that, Mark, like last week.
There you go. Yeah. Have the purple belt of your ninja belt system, meaning running all your major expenses, or even just I think, was it the green belt, where, you have a policy for your car and you have a policy for your kids' college and that sort of thing. I think,
I'll just say too, I personally like it's almost like having an accountability buddy too. Like when you set up one of these policies, it's a little scary for some people to take the leap and finally set up the policy and do the application, pay for it, fund it and everything. That process can be a little nerve-wracking for some people. But totally. I'll tell you, like when they do it and they do commit to that, there's it's like having a workout buddy, and they're expecting you to show up. And if you don't show up, then they got to work out by themselves. And that's sad. And, I don't know if that relates to anybody else. That's kind of, I hate letting people down. I really want to make sure that I'm like doing my part. And saving is like having an accountability buddy into one of these types of policies.
That's a really good point. I've never really thought about that, Evan, but you do kind of have a buddy, when it's your own defined contribution 401k, or when it's your own like savings account for the flat tire that's coming up or whatever. Nobody's really encouraging with the local bank or credit union to put money away for that savings, that next year vacation. Most Americans just skip saving and they put the vacation on the credit card and then they pay for it out the nose in interest. But what I heard you say is that you get an accountability partner automatically. Why? Because you have a forced savings plan with your whole life policy. That is the best form of dollar cost averaging. Dollar cost averaging is a total myth. It's when you can overpay for a stock just as easily as you can get it on sale, and you end up getting washed out results in your 401k. When you invest using dollar cost averaging, it does not produce the results I think most investment advisors tell you it does, because it just doesn't. The math doesn't seem to work out that way. But what I love about dollar cost averaging is the default set it and forget it, plug that $300 a month in your 401k kind of scenario. That regular set it and forget it kind of plan is so cool. And if you could do the same thing with your savings account, good on you. But most Americans don't. And they have one little hiccup where they couldn't save last month, and then they get off of their track and they don't put it back on, right? They have that 1, 2, 3 months of discipline, and then they get distracted like all of us do. I mean, if you look at that chart again, Amanda, that we were talking about earlier, a lot of those expenses were near term right away. I got to pay for gas. I can't think long range right now. I got to think get to the grocery store right now. So having a whole life policy in a very special way gives you a lifelong savings accountability partner with a regular show up to the gym kind of schedule where you're putting your premiums in every month. And yeah, premium sounds like a bad word, but until you realize just how cool premiums are. And I actually look forward to paying my premiums because I get to see my cash value just shoot up like a rocket. So man, yeah, it's like a forced accountability partner that is calling you to the gym every morning to get you back there and do the right thing. Way to go.
Yeah. And then on top of that, you get your regular discipline in, right?
Mhm.
Like white belt and, the things. Then you can start gamifying it.
Mm.
Like, there's that phrase, you can take that to the bank, right? Like, you want mailbox money, things like that. I've developed a phrase. You can add that to your paid up additions. Like, I'm just looking for all these different ways to find money to add to my paid up additions to give my policy even that extra boost above my normal premiums. So yeah, I'll have the thermostat at 74 instead of 72.
Mm.
Brandon might hate it, but that's money I can put into my paid up additions, right? Like, and that's more money. Like, my kid will be fine at 74. He's not going to die, but guess how much more of a legacy he's going to get because of that. And I just have to like gamify it that way, right? Like have more fun with it. It's sure discipline's great, but the people that stick with the gym are the people that find the fun thing to do at the gym,
Mhm.
right? The cool community to hang out with, like the Not Your Average Financial community, right? The gamifying, like, yeah, I added an extra pound of what I can lift today. Like I ran, a minute faster than I did yesterday. Like, and they add that sense of like fun competition to it.
Love it. Good guys.
I love
That's so
that.
good. Yeah.
I did want to add, like the percentages, using profit first is important. Again, going back to Nelson's book, "Don't Steal the Peas from Your Own Grocery Store" is another one that people say all the time, and people are like, "What are you talking about?" Like, if you own a grocery store, you're not gonna just take it out the back end and you eat all your produce, right? And so I tell people in a better way, I'm like, if you're a mob boss, try a banker, like that's what they are to us, 22 and 25%. Pretend like you're the mob boss to yourself or something.
Yeah.
And whatever works, right? But
Yeah.
that's why having people like us, again, we work with clients, not just setting up the policy, but it's a regular occurrence to meet with us regularly every 6 months, and we're like, hey, what are you doing? Oh, you're borrowing from your policy and there's no loan repayment. Did you forget about "Don't Steal the Peas"? Like, because it seems like you did. Or the
Right.
Willie Sutton law, or the other
Mhm.
things. It's always not just a reminder to them, but as us as personal trainers, if you will,
Mm.
we have to keep being in the gym ourselves, right? And
That's
so
right.
it's helping us be stronger and to have the right people that can speak that, because the world is trying to say, you know what? And I will say this: yesterday we were at the airport, and I don't eat McDonald's, but my mother-in-law loves it, and so we saw a McDonald's, and I'm like, all right, I guess I'll do it. But that's definitely not what I should be doing. But people are in the habit of what's convenient, what's easy, what can
Mhm.
I do right now, and to have that habits and training and the person in the gym to help you, that's super important.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, I know each of you guys have regular meetings with your clients, and you're helping encourage in encouraging them to lift their savings rates up. What should we, very quickly, I want to hear it in like one number. Just give me the number, all right? Because we don't have time to really go too far into this, but what would a reasonable amount of savings rate be? Just a reasonable, tell me, for someone who, let's say, is wanting to live on track to have the same lifestyle he or she has now in retirement, and for all the things that we need for our for like our vacations or our kids' college, the short-term, medium-term, long-term savings rates, add them all up. How much of my income should I be saving? If I just woke up on a deserted island and had to start saving, what should my savings rate be? Amanda Neely, let me hear that one from you.
I hate the should. I hate the
Oh
should.
yeah, we don't want to
Um,
should all over
I'm
our
just
audience. I get it. No.
right. I'm just gonna say
All
increasing.
right.
That's my
Well,
number.
okay. All
Start
right.
we can increase.
I'll say start if you are able to with 10% for like midterm savings needs, things that come once a year or so, and another 10% for the long-term stuff out into the future as a starting point, and work your way up from there.
Okay. 10% for medium, 10% for long term. What about short term things?
For very
Within a year.
short-term things, within a year, you could try to save a little on top of that. If there's any room for margin over and above 20% saving for midterm and long-term goals, add it to your short-term savings then.
All right.
Or
Good
that
stuff.
could be a loan repayment, right? So we call it the 10-10-10 savings rule. And
Yep,
it
that's where I was thinking.
frustrates me all the time when I hear people say, well, Christmas came. I don't have any money to save because Christmas wiped it out. I'm like, dude, the day hasn't changed. So you
Several
can
thousand
plan.
years. Yeah. We know it's coming again too.
I didn't know taxes were due April 15th. I'm like, that seems ridiculous. So 10-10-10, and that third 10 is maybe what Nelson says: don't steal the peace, right?
Tax day is way more a recent phenomenon than Christmas. I'll give you a break on tax day. If you didn't know taxes were due, it's only been around 110 years or so, the income tax system. Christmas, I got nothing for you, man. That's been around for thousands of years. So,
And another book I would recommend,
And I'll just
Richest Man in Babylon.
Go ahead.
A portion of all you earn is for you to keep. Read that book.
there you go. Amanda.
yeah, and I'll just push the envelope a little bit. Why stop at 30%? 10, 10,
Yeah.
10. It's so much fun to get to 40 and maybe even 50%. Save as much as you can. Your future self will totally thank you, as long as it's accessible and easily to use when those things come up,
I think you have some
and
ideas. on that.
safe and growing and all the
I
things.
think Bank on Yourself whole life policies would be a great place to park it. And I think Americans are beginning to agree with you, Amanda. So whole life stays the largest slice of the life insurance market. And policy count has jumped 13% according to LIMRA's 2026 data for Q1. Whole life insurance still is the biggest slice of the pie in the U.S. individual life market. And we've seen a significant increase in premium. 36% of all life insurance is whole life insurance, and whole life premium is up 9%, another 1.6 billion. Yes, and that's a big deal. Now, we've also seen other types of cash value insurance grow by more than 9%. So IULs, as an example, VULs even, surprisingly. If you go to the actual article, VULs came up 12% in the first quarter. What in the world is a VUL doing on this at all? Now, if you dig a little deeper, it's not so rosy. I mean, we love Bank on Yourself around here. And even in a great, strong stock market, permanent life insurance is still a darling for many Americans. However, unfortunately, most of the whole life insurance I think that we're talking about here is final expense whole life insurance. So someone describe what is final expense, and then please help those that need to know the difference know why maybe a Bank on Yourself designed policy, if you can afford it, would be a better choice overall. Evan, I'll pass the ball to you on this one. What is final expense, and how is Bank on Yourself designed whole life different?
So final expense is, well, it's in the name. It's like the final expenses when you're exiting this life, and needing to make sure that you have a good send off, and it's for the end of your life. But these types of Bank on Yourself policies, and I'll try to work in Nathan's question here about
let me bring that up.
why is it better to put this money into a policy rather than just putting into a high yield savings account. Well, so that you can actually like use it over and over again throughout your whole life, no pun intended, and not just for final expenses. It can be that for that too as well, but it's not just to make sure that you get a good send off or that your family's taken care of, or things like that. We've got the ability to access our capital over and over and over again for vacations, for buying vehicles, for paying for weddings or going to college, all these major purchases that we make throughout our lives. But with a bank on yourself type policy, the one thing that you don't get with a high yield savings account is uninterrupted compounding growth throughout your entire life. Every time that you save into that high yield savings account and then spend it, you're going to lose out on that opportunity cost because you just gave all your money to the vacation, travel agent, or to the dealership that you just bought your car from, or to the college you just sent your kids to. That money is no longer going to work for you ever again. They get to make money off of that money now. And so this is an entirely different strategy that allows you to be the bank and repay yourself as you are saving for other things. You can just pay off the policy loan with future savings, which is pretty amazing to be able to pay yourself back like that, all without interrupting the growth.
Love it.
Well,
So great answer.
I might add again to this question with them is like the small policies. We don't know when our last birth date is again, right? And the friend that was putting in 20,000, it was a bigger policy, right? But it was his emergency fund for his business, right? And his tax hold account for his business. He could have put it in a high yield savings account. And when that unfortunate event happened, he would get what? The wife would get 20,000, but they saved. What is the rate of return? They put in 20,000 and they get 3 million. What is that rate of return for?
That's somebody grab a calculator. I'm guessing it's probably 900 plus.
Asking like what is I don't know.
It's a lot.
It's not about the life insurance. It's not about the what's that rate of return and how do we do all that. It's about the whole system, right? And understanding that we don't know when our last birthday is. Those kids are going to be taken care of because of what we did for them. And that's
right.
huge.
Can't put a rate of return on that.
And did he want that to happen? Hell no. And I think that's bigger. And then we can use it to do other things, like buy real estate. I use my policy to buy real estate. We can use those things in that way.
So Brandon, I think you're exactly right. We can actually become financially free. We can solve the issue of, retirement savings in the toilet, personal cash emergency fund savings in, whatever's worse than the toilet. And we can say, hey, you know what? There's actually a way to solve the problem of our families needing our assistance if we don't make it home from work one day. Build our savings, build our retirement all at once. It really is. It's a marvel to think about. To think that there is something like a Swiss Army knife waiting for every American. You don't have to be uber wealthy to do this. And yet I think very few Americans even are aware that this exists. I'm happy to see the LIMRA results that so many are doing this. And I think even in a very bullish market right now, I think it's even more valuable. And it's so cool to be among the very rare Americans that are saving like crazy. My clients are awesome because they are the weird ones, because they're saving like crazy in a world that's saving 2.6% of their income. They're dancing in the rain as the tornado is coming right at them. Most Americans are, but the clients that you guys work with, that I work with, seem to be preparing the shelter so that they can enjoy the sun when it comes out after the rain. Speaking of those folks that are starting to see the rain pour, I wanted to briefly, in 5 minutes, share a few real Americans that are sharing their experience. This is from live Reddit threads, real posts, real engagement, and highly upvoted throughout Reddit. One person in the personal finance thread says, watched my company stocks sink 50%, and now I can't even bring myself to work. Americans are reaching a financial breaking point, says middle class finance thread, and it was the most shared economy thread of the last week. Americans are reaching a financial breaking point. In the personal finance thread, again, it says, right on the heels of being called out for being too big, called out for too big an emergency fund, I present to you a triad of emergencies. And then safe money anxiety here. When it says in the personal finance thread, when is an emergency fund enough? These are all questions that were upvoted significantly in the last week, which tells me people on Reddit anyway are really watching these major themes. They're at breaking points. They're not sure what's the right amount of emergency fund. They're not sure really if they've got enough ready for the emergency. You might have enough for one emergency, but how about 3 back to back to back? And of course, the market loss paralysis coming. When you've got much of your personal wealth wrapped up in your company's stock, that can be a real dangerous move to be in. And then a couple more, just as we look over these here. This says Joe Rogan floored after Caleb Hammer says U.S. boomers should have $2 million to $5 million saved. No sympathy if they don't. Is he right? That's very fascinating to me. Should boomers have $2 to $5 million saved? Most don't. That's for sure. Number of Americans. Go ahead. I
was just going to say probably. Yeah, actually. Yeah. I mean, I would
Americans juggling multiple jobs. It's 54 million. This one was a shocker to me because, man, we see job postings every month. The government puts out their job hires every month. If you dig into the details, most of those are part-time jobs that people are getting. Amanda, I see you're wanting to share. Go for it.
And in the midst of this, we have a trillionaire. It's the tale of the two economies all over again, and it just makes me sick. I'm sorry. Yeah. I don't want to get us off on a tangent. I know we're supposed to wrap up.
This is a good one.
But I feel this. Yeah. This is like gut wrenching.
This is a good one though, because amidst that trillionaire becoming a trillionaire, I heard that he also made something like 4,000 millionaires when his stock went public, which is awesome. Wow. And I'm cheering on the janitor, right? That became a millionaire when he was working for SpaceX and his companies went. But just alongside that, though, Amanda, was this guy right here, whoever this guy is, who had his money in his company stock and it went down 50%. So what's the lesson? Don't put I don't care if you work for SpaceX or the next trillionaire or the quadrillionaire that's coming next. The point is, don't put your money in something that may or may not be there when you need it the most. And definitely put your money in something that you can absolutely have guarantees that is going to be there for you when you need it the most.
A lot of people win money in the casino too. There's probably millionaires made at the casino.
And Amanda, you and Brandon have talked about the K-shaped economy. I think we're seeing this big time on the Reddit threads. I'll hush here as we kind of wrap up. I want to get a 1 or 2 sentence quick final thoughts. Hopeful, if you can. If you're dour on the world, that's okay too, but I want to hear from each of you guys. What can we hope for? What can we do? What personal agency do we have amidst all this madness? And I'll start with we'll start with Brandon and we'll go counterclockwise.
Yeah,
so tell us what you have and then also how we can reach you too, Brandon.
You can find us at livecounterflow.com. But I don't want to abdicate responsibility from you to me. I want you to have the control, not the banks, not even Elon Musk or whoever, but how do we give you control of that? And we will help you read Nelson's book, learn those principles, right? And then move into that direction. But that's the main thing is, don't abdicate your financial responsibility. It hasn't worked out very well. We're seeing it. So,
love that, Evan.
You can find me at greathousefs.com. Book an appointment with me. That's kind of where I'm going to go with my last final word is just take the first step with a phone call. This whole thing about savings and saving $2 to $5 million. That's a massive number. Sounding like, if you're just starting, it seems like, an accomplishment that you just may not hit in your lifetime or something. But I'll tell you, you definitely won't if you don't start. And so just start with the first step and then go from there. It's not nearly as hard as it is not doing anything. Life will be so much more difficult not doing anything at all. So just give us a call. Any one of us are going to be super happy to help out anybody and get them started on this track to success. And if you're already on the track to success, then we'll help you even more, just kind of along the way, either by getting you connected to somebody who can do, take it to the next level, or adding to what you already have.
Love it. Amanda, to bring us home, bring us some hope too.
Yeah. So tomorrow, I was working on this before we went live. I have a piece coming out on Substack, livecounterflow.substack.com, about relationships. And especially during times of crisis, it's the relationships you have that get you through it, right? The community coming together to do something, right? Barn raising in, the Amish community, or just sharing a meal, everyone's costs go down, things like that. If we're, and that applies to our financial professionals as well. If you have a financial professional that's not building a real relationship with you, isn't being proactive about reaching out to you, you're going to miss some of the really cool things that you can be doing in this time. If there is a crisis coming, there's going to be a lot of people that make a lot of money, and we want you to be some of those people. So start building that relationship. Check out my piece tomorrow for more on what that looks like and the importance of it. Doesn't matter how much money you have at the end of the day. There's plenty of people with tons of money that it's all gone because they didn't invest in relationships, and the right relationships.
Fantastic, Amanda. That's livecounterflow.substack.com. She's got a great ongoing series, and I don't know what to say, a piece, blog, I don't know what to call it, but I love it. It's a Substack is what it is. So, and I'd be honored to chat with anybody here watching and listening. I know we get a lot of folks here live, but we get even more people after the live. So be sure to hit the subscribe button when it's time to. Now's a good time. Why not now? Why not now? It's about to end. We're about to see you go off to your next cat video here on YouTube. You might as well subscribe to this so you get the best stuff when it comes out each week. So thank you again for coming on. And you can find me at notyouraverageFinancialPodcast.com or NYAFinancialPodcast.com, where we can book a time to talk. So thank you, Amanda. Such great content, such great contributions. Thank you for coming on. Thank you, Evan. Thank you so much, Evan. Thank you, Brandon. Thank you, everyone watching as well. We'll see you guys on another day.